Spring 2024, 5 things that you really need to know. Well, the best time to buy a house is when nobody else is. For many of my clients, they listened when I told them to lock something up in November or December of 2023. Now, thankfully for them, 7 of those clients ratified contracts between Halloween and the end of the year. And because as I predicted and expected, here we are in 2024 and we are off to the races again. So I'm Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. This is Leah, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about what's happening in spring 2024's market so that you are prepared. Now, spring's always a competitive time. When interest rates peaked in 2023 at nearly 8%, there was a lot of panic. But now that the rates have come back down a bit, currently hovering in the mid-6s, people are back out there, and this spring is looking like every other spring has thus far. Joy. I already have some frustrated clients, so let's cover some things that you really need to know if you are looking for a home this spring in the DC market. So number 1, don't fixate on the list price. Don't pay too much attention to the list price, especially when it comes to properties new to the market. When a property is newly listed, anything can happen. They will get tons of interest sometimes, or they'll get none at all. And that all depends a lot on different factors. Interest rates, consumer sentiment, timing, location, even weather. All of those factors will make a difference whether or not that house is received well by the market or if it, kind of lingers. So the list price is basically the number that the list seller and the listing agent decided to list the home for, but it may or may not be representative of market value. Market value is what somebody's willing to pay for a home. The way the listing appointment went, the agent likely tried to tell them, go ahead and price it a little bit below market value so that you can elicit a lot of interest. And the seller probably fought it back with them to price it higher. Now, then they end up agreeing on a number, and that number rarely means a lot. The seller always wants more than they listed for, and if there are several people circling the house, they very well could get it, but they might not, depending on those factors. Again, loud enough for the people in the back. Market value is what somebody is willing to pay. Okay, if a home is listed at $499,000 and several people are interested and they bid it up to $520,000, then the market value of the home is really $520,000. Got to teach you about market value, Leah.
No.
Getting fixated on the price of $499,000 just because it happened to be the list price isn't going to help anybody. Once a home is listed and we see the inside of it, then we need to zoom in and look at some other factors. We check the comparable sales of similar homes, and we work from that number. So, number 2, negotiating the best price. So for some buyers, being able to negotiate and experiencing the thrill of the hunt is important to them. If negotiating on price and terms is really important to you, and it's more important than getting the right house, then please pay attention. Do not run out and look at all the new homes as soon as they hit the market. The ability to negotiate is very low when a home is new to the market and there is a lot of interest. You want to focus on houses that have been sitting on the market where I can negotiate a better deal for you. To make this work, you have to be disciplined enough to not chase the same few houses every Thursday and Friday when they get listed. And this is what everybody else is doing too. You have to go for the houses that don't show as well and that actually are in need of some work. So, number 3, waiving a home inspection. Now, I never recommend waiving a home inspection entirely. It's silly. It can have catastrophic consequences. Most buyers are on board with this. Unfortunately, most sellers are not. They don't want you to do an inspection, and if you do, they don't want to be informed of what's wrong with their home because should you walk away, they have to disclose everything now that it's been uncovered by a licensed home inspector. I often see people discussing this on real estate boards saying very indignantly, why should I have to disclose what some random inspector said was wrong with my house if I go back to market? Because you do. It's now in writing, it's been disclosed to you, and the ball is in your court to do something about it. Just because you've been living in a home with a hole in the roof that's been leaking rain into the attic, but you didn't know about it, doesn't mean that you can now continue to ignore it when it's been pointed out to you by a licensed inspector. You need to fix and disclose the repair or just disclose the issue. So what first changed with home inspections when the market tipped to become a seller's market was that the buyers would do them, but they were considered a void only, right? They could do it, they would just only reserve their right to walk away, and they would not ask for repairs. So even if they weren't happy with the results, they could really still walk away without penalty. It was kind of just like if you had cold feet or something else came on the market, you could walk away. Then some moron in our market decided to start some nonsense called a pre-inspection. The idea of a pre-inspection has been around for several years. Now, many buyers will do a home inspection before submitting an offer for the sole purpose of not having an inspection contingency in the offer, but still being able to do one on the home. So a client once said to me, "This is getting expensive. We can't afford to keep doing home inspections on homes we don't get." And I said, "Yes, but you can't afford to buy the wrong house and overpay for it either." So once a prospective buyer decides to inspect before offers are even due, you know that they're pretty attached to the house already. It's always going to be hard to compete with someone who wants a house badly enough to pay for a home inspection with no guarantee that they are even going to buy the house. All right, next up, how high are these escalations? Well, the rising interest rates affect different price points of the market differently. So those in the 500,000 and below market were actually hit harder with this. It affected them more. That market essentially halted when the rates rose, and there wasn't a lot of change at the 700,000 plus price points. That part of the market kept moving as if the rates hadn't risen at all. In the heyday of sub 3% interest rates, the escalations around homes priced at $1 million would typically be at or above 100,000. We saw escalations, honestly, here as high as 700,000 from outliers, but usually if the home was priced correctly, showed well, you would see that homes priced maybe at 1.2 million would rise to 1.35 million all the way to 1.4. At the lower price points, escalations were in the $50,000 to $75,000 range. So these escalated price ranges make sense if you think about it. Lower price homes might be sought after by maybe a single income family, so there was less flexibility in the ability to escalate the price. And there's more price sensitivity for those at the income levels who are qualified for the $500,000 homes. So what are we seeing now? Well, the escalations are back on some houses, but don't panic. They aren't quite where they were, at least not yet. Right now, the homes closing in January in the 500 to 600 range might only have one or two offers. If they have escalations, they might range anywhere from 10 to 20, 25,000. So far, there haven't been many escalations at the higher price points at all. There might be 1 out of 20 of all the houses that I kind of canvassed for the last 60 to 90 days. Now, which homes are going to escalate in price? That's the next question. Well, we've seen this show before. It is always the homes that show the nicest, appear to need the least amount of work, and are updated. They don't have to have top of the line and latest trends in every room, but they have to be clean and well cared for with no visible repairs or big ticket items needing replacement. People will paint, but nobody wants to replace a bathroom or a kitchen or an HVAC system. Now, as spring continues, we will let you know what's happening out there so that you can plan accordingly and hit the market well armed and prepared. I am Melissa Terzis. My contact info is coming next. And this is Leah. She's been making faces through the entire thing. I can hear her. I can hear her little mouth opening and making faces. Contact info coming next.